Hey everybody, Grant here again. Today I wanted to do a quick video on getting to that first stage of our financial goals in life. I was working with some clients this afternoon and I wanted to create this quick video after talking to them to help people realize where it is they want to go. Now, of course, we all want to have so much money that we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, not ever have to worry about it again. And that's absolutely a stage in life. We'd all like to be there, but there are stages that come before that. So in order to get to that point, you have to be prepared for the first couple of stages, the first of which is going to be true financial security. And this basically means that all of your primary needs would be covered should something happen to you and you couldn't work or your primary source of income were to go for an extended period of time. Now, the issue is we all kind of have a rough idea. We think, oh, I need this much, I need that much, whatever the case may be, but we don't have specific numbers, which makes it infinitely more difficult to accomplish. So the first thing you needed to do is determine what that number is. Now, in order to do that, you need to go through, ideally, you should be tracking everything that you're spending for at least 30 days so you have an accurate depiction. And then you need to pick out the absolute necessities, which would be your rent or your mortgage, your living costs, and as far as housing goes, your transportation costs, your utilities, gas, water, electric, all that stuff, food budget, how much money do you spend on food on average in a given month, and then also insurance, things like that you absolutely have to pay. The absolute necessities that push comes to shove, these things have to get paid every single month. Now, let's say you figured out exactly what that looks like, and I'm going to use some arbitrary numbers here. Let's say it comes to $3,000 a month. Then you take that number and you need to multiply it by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So in this case, you end up with $36,000, which means you need to be generating, to have true financial security, $36,000 in a given year, not through your job or anything like that, but through your passive income efforts, through your investments and whatnot. So with that number in mind, we can start to break that down and say, okay, how do I go about this? Because if you couldn't work, you might have to cut back on some luxuries and things like that, but you have enough money coming in that those absolute base necessities will stay the same. Now, they might change over time if you upgrade your house or if you pay off your home. If you upgrade your house, it's more expensive, that number needs to go up. If you pay off your home, then that number can actually go down. But once you hit that first stage of financial security, then you can we start to move on into the financial independence, the financial freedom, and financial dream life, if you will. But that's the first number. So if you want to really start building wealth and you want to set yourself up to have tons and tons of money, don't make the classic mistake of just saying, more money, more money. I need to make X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever the case may be. Figure out what that very first number is, because that's going to be your first benchmark. Because once you hit that, it's going to become infinitely easier to get to all the rest. So what I challenge you to do is, in the previous video, I told you to track everything that you spend, every nickel you spend in the course of 30 days. You need to go back and you need to say, okay, how much of that was housing? How much of that was food? How much of that was utilities and whatnot? And come up with that base number. Now, you can actually fluctuate with that base number. There were times that you might say, okay, this is what I'm spending on food. Well, can I shave that number down a little bit? If you spend $500 a month on food, is there a way that you can shave it down to $400 a month, which saves you $1,200 a year that you have to be creating in passive income and whatnot? But you can't do anything until you have that first initial number to know specifically what it is that you're shooting for. From there, we can start to create some plans, some ideas, some ways to generate that income. That reason I have so many passive income streams is some of them pay me pretty well. Some of them pay me pretty well during times of the year. Some of them don't pay me that much money, but there's a lot of them. So they consistently are generating money that collectively makes a ton. So that being said, once you have that goal in mind, we can then start to dissect and say, what are some of the ways I can create the passive income? What are some of the investment opportunities? I'm going to throw a real quick number out at you here, and I will probably go into more detail of this in a later video, but I wanted to briefly discuss this, is that in order for it to have financial security, I ask people, how much, if I were to write you a check right now, how much money would that check have to be for you never have to worry about any of that stuff ever again, your base needs for the rest of your life? And people will tell me, oh, I don't know, because I don't know how long I'm going to live, and this, that, and the other. So I tell them, ballpark it for me. And it's not uncommon. They might tell me $5 million, $10 million. They really have no idea because they're just throwing numbers out at you. But let's say you spend $3,000 a month, that's $36,000 a year. So if I were to write you a check for, let's say, $500,000, would that take care of you for the rest of your life? Most people don't think so. But if you were to take that $500,000 and invest it into something that produces an 8% return, say an index fund, that's 8% on that $500,000 on average per year, which is $40,000 a year. Well, your base necessities are $36,000 a year. So $500,000 would actually take care of your base necessities for the rest of your life, regardless of how long you live. Because the interest, you actually wouldn't even touch that $500,000. You would just make $40,000 a year, which would cover all your base necessities without ever having to think about it or worry about it. Then all the money you make on top of that is bonus money, which obviously you can roll into other things. But that's a perfect example of talking to someone recently. They told me $6 million to cover their base necessities, which were about this individual was about $4,500 a month. I said, okay, let's break that out. That's about $54,000 a year. So I said, well, if I gave you $1 million, could you do it? They said, no way. Well, we broke it out. $1 million was $80,000 versus the 54 that they need. They didn't think about it that way, though. Tell you what, $1 million or $750,000, while still a lot of money, way easier to get than $6 million or $10 million. That's just one example of how understanding how this works and how much money you actually need to generate comes into play. So what I would challenge you to do now is go through, figure out exactly what your base necessities are. There are other formulas and whatnot that you can plug in to figure out where the next levels are as far as things that you want to do and fun, and we'll touch on those in future videos. But you can't get to that point of financial freedom without at least having financial security, where you will be secure even if something were to happen to you. So once you've done that, we'll come back and we're gonna create some additional videos and whatnot that are gonna give you different ideas to generate income and what have you, because I can help people to generate additional income all day long. But the problem is that if they don't understand where that money needs to go and how to create financial security, they're going to get more money, so they're going to spend more money. But once you know, okay, I need to generate this much money per month, it's going to go directly towards my financial security, so that way I can build wealth, you're in a much better position. I hope that really sinks in with you. Thank you for taking the time to check this video out. If you're interested in some additional videos on money, sometimes it's just the thought process or the manifestation, sometimes it's the actual nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty. Make sure that you click the subscribe button so that you can get notifications for those videos. I'm also going to be periodically putting out some products and whatnot that are basically designed to help you either increase your business if you have your own business, or to start a business, or sometimes just generating additional side money, kind of a side hustle sort of thing. So keep an eye out for those. And like I said, click the subscribe button, and we hope to see you next time.